Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you may be listening, whatever time it may be. My name is Ryan Dooley, and welcome to Let's Talk Football. This is going to be a great episode. Man, was last night not the game of the year? We've got a quicker agenda for you today. We're going to talk a lot about last night's game between the Rams and Seahawks. Like I said, that game was just a possible game of the year candidate. We're also going to go over the college football playoff officially starts tonight with Alabama heading to Oklahoma to start off the first round matchups. Three more games tomorrow, so I'll give my picks and scores for those games. But I want to jump right into this today and jump right into last night's game between the Rams and Seahawks as it lived up to everything we were hoping it would be. Two 11-3 teams in that NFC West going at it for the division title. It seems as though that game will probably decide it. And you know it Wow, you look at the stats of some of this game. I was able to watch this entire game and was just blown away by this. The series is now split 1-1 with the Rams losing last night after winning earlier in the season in Week 12. Mentioned it multiple times. In my opinion, this is the candidate for the game of the year. The final 38-37 in overtime. The Seahawks able to get the comeback win over the Rams. Rams blow a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter, including having an interception under 10 minutes while still up 16 in the red zone. It felt like the dagger watching it live. It felt like the Rams had kind of done stuff earlier in the game to, shoot themselves in the foot, and it seemed like they were trying every way to give this game away, and then got that interception by Kobe Turner in the fourth quarter, and it seemed like it was going to be the icing on the cake that was going to be it. The Rams were going to be able to hold on. This did not happen, however, as you can tell that the game at the time was 30-14. Ends up being 30-30. They go to overtime, and the Seahawks able to pull out the victory. I think a big storyline in this game that maybe not a lot of people will talk about is in the first half, the Rams settled for two field goals inside the 10-yard line, including one coming from the 1 yard line and a third field goal in the second half also coming inside the red zone. So 9 points inside the red zone on three trips there. Obviously, they scored more as the game went on, but you get just one of those to get punched in, and this game goes in your win column instead of your division rivals. The Rashid Shaheed punt return touchdown in the second half, late in the fourth quarter, there really sparked life into that Seahawks team. They seemed down and out of it after throwing the interception inside the red zone. That play happens. He makes another big catch on the next drive after. He really was a great trade coming in from New Orleans at the deadline. He has brought a spark to this team. He has been incredible. I want to talk about the quarterbacks a little bit. I'll start with Sam Darnold, 22 of 34 for 270 yards, two touchdowns. He did have two interceptions. It just kind of seemed like both interceptions he got fooled pretty badly by zone coverage. Obviously, the first one, a great play. It looks like man coverage. It ends up being zone. He throws a slant right to the defender. Kind of the same thing on the one in the red zone. Looked like it was going to be man. Kobe Turner ends up dropping from the line of scrimmage right into the throwing lane and able to get another interception on what looked like to be an in-breaking slant. I thought he looked good. I think these stats, maybe the two interceptions will jump out to you, but he played well when he needed to. The story on him has always been that he can't close in big games, and he did last night. He went out down seven in overtime, drives them all the way down the field, 65 yards to go get a touchdown, and then get the 2 point conversion, which that one. Kobe Turner, let's just talk about him for a second. What a game he had last night. The interception in the backfield all night, a couple of sacks, almost deflected that 2 point conversion at the end. And that's not even the craziest 2 point conversion that we'll get into today. I thought Darnold played well. I mean, he got outplayed by Stafford, who we'll get to in a second. Obviously, JSN was held without a catch in the first half. He was able to really revive his performance with 8 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown in the second half and overtime. But yeah, I thought Darnold played well. It wasn't the put his team on his back and go win it for them, but he played well when he needed to, despite the two interceptions. The guy that really impressed me is Matthew Stafford, who I believe last night with his performance easily put himself as the front runner for the MVP. Especially I mentioned Drake May lost last week, and that seems like who it's going to come down to is him and Drake May losing last week, blowing that lead to Buffalo. I understand that there's a blown lead here for Stafford, but 29 for 49, 457 yards, three touchdowns, zero interceptions. I mean, he's the MVP of the league in my opinion. I don't think I know Drake May is having a great year in New England, but this guy, I mean, just without him last night, without the guy I'm going to talk about next, they're not even at 11-4 where they are right now. They have had a great year because of how well he has played. Excuse me. And a big reason for this, a big storyline coming into last night. No Devontae Adams for the Rams. Was knocked out with a hamstring injury. They hope to have him back by the playoffs. So the question was going to be, was Puka going to be able to step up and fill that role? And to put it shortly, yes. 12 catches, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just his best game that I can remember in a while. I have him in fantasy football, and I am still in my playoffs. So thank you, Puka. Looks like I'm going to be winning this week off his 46 points alone. Yeah, he had a very hectic week. A lot of stuff going on off the field with the streamer, the Aiden Ross incident that happened, and then there were some more stories that came out yesterday that didn't make him look very good. Talks about the refs and how they make calls just to get TV time, then posts about it after the game last night. So interested to see what the backlash is for him on that. But just the football player Puka Nacua is incredible. He made play after play last night. Didn't seem distracted. The team didn't seem distracted by any of his stuff all week. Yeah, he was incredible. And once again, thank you, Puka, for keeping me in my fantasy playoffs. Hopefully, as long as the rest of my team does fine. Mentioned Jackson Smith and Jigba shutout in the first half. I mean, you look at the stat line, I've mentioned this. It looks like the Rams should have won this game easily. They outgained them in yards by quite a bit. They locked down. If you would have told any Rams fan that Stafford is going to throw for over 450 yards, Puka's going over 200, JSN is shut out in the first half, and you're going to pick off Darnold twice, you would say this game's not even going to be close, and yet they end up with a loss in this game. Just they couldn't make the plays when they needed them the most, which it seems like the Seahawks were able to do. Speaking of making a play when it mattered the most, the craziest 2-point conversion I have ever seen. The Seahawks score a touchdown to go down 2 late in the fourth quarter. They need a 2-point conversion to tie it. They throw a pass they throw a pass that doesn't. It gets batted down at the line. It bounces on the ground. The play is blown dead. Zach Charbonnet happens to just pick the ball up in the end zone he wasn't trying to recover it. He just picked it up in the end zone. They go to review. It's a backwards pass, so it's a fumble and recovered by Zach Charbonnet in the end zone. I mean, just the craziest 2-point conversion. I think, especially with how much was on the line and the stakes in this game, and oh my God, just what a play at what a time. I remember I was watching it here in my apartment, just couldn't believe what I was watching. That stadium went crazy. That atmosphere was amazing last night. Seattle, I mean, just always one of the best atmospheres. And of course, they've got a big game again tomorrow with up in Eugene, Oregon, up in the Northwest there for that game. That game's gonna be wild as well. That stadium's always rocking. But yeah, the NFC West now belongs to Seattle. They sit atop that division. They have the number 1 seed in all of the NFC. They're in the driver's seat after what looked like a game that they just couldn't get rolling against the Colts and Phillip Rivers and have to win it last second. Now, then last night, it seems like, I mean, they're comeback kids, it seems like. And the Cardiac Seahawks strike again. A huge win last night. They've now won 5 in a row. And like I said, that team's playing their best ball right now. And if they can continue to roll, that team is going to be dangerous come playoffs time, just as the Rams will be. I believe the Rams will be fine from this. But now that they look like they might not have be able to catch the Seahawks. They're going to need the Seahawks to lose, and they're going to need some help to try to get back to win that division and not have to go somewhere for a wild card game. I mean, this game is just still to me is crazy. This game was so good. But I will move into the second part of this episode. This is going to be a much shorter episode today because I will have game previews for each college football playoff game coming out later today, where I will talk about each game in depth. So I just kind of want to go over them a little bit here. So it starts tonight with Alabama traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to play the Sooners. This is the Friday night game. Tomorrow, the noon game is Texas A&M hosting the Miami Hurricanes. The afternoon game is Ole Miss hosting Tulane, and then the night game, Oregon will host James Madison. I'm really excited for some of these games. Honestly, I think it's kind of weird that Oregon gets the night game. I thought that might be the day game, and I thought Texas A&M was going to get the night game. I thought they would flip those two. They didn't. And I'll just kind of quickly give some insight into this. I'll talk about them in order. So first, I'll talk about Alabama, Oklahoma, which I personally will be watching as an Alabama fan. Yeah, I might be a little biased here, but I am going to take Alabama in this game tonight. I think it comes down um, really it comes down to, can Ty Simpson and the Alabama offense not turn it over or limit the turnovers that they have against Oklahoma. I have it as my key to the game, which I'll talk about in an episode a little later on. But yeah, the Oklahoma in game one was outgained 406 yards to 212 yards, but was able to produce 17 of their 23 points off of Alabama turnovers. If Alabama can limit the turnovers and make John Mateer and this Oklahoma offense drive the length of the field to go get points, I think Alabama is comfortably going to win this game. The issue is that's easier said than done with this Oklahoma defense being as good as they are. Big news for Alabama is Jam Miller, the running back, and tight end Josh Cuevas will both be available for this game. Unfortunately, LT Overton will not be available, so they lose a pass rusher up front. I do have Alabama winning this game, however. My score prediction on this will be 23-17 Alabama. The noon game tomorrow, Texas A&M will host Miami. I believe this is another one of the big games. I think the two closest games will be the first two. It's the Notre Dame Bowl. Both teams that beat Notre Dame to keep them out of the playoff. I was a little surprised to see Texas A&M stick at 7. I thought they would jump to 6 and Ole Miss would move to 7. But yeah, they host Miami. This is gonna be a great game. Both these teams are red hot, or excuse me, Miami is red hot coming into this. Texas A&M stumbling as of late. They look like one of the 3 best teams in college football all year. They get a loss to Texas in their final game, and the game before that they play, or the biggest game before that is they play South Carolina, where they are down by 30 points at home at halftime and have to storm back to win that thriller. But they both teams coming off a bye, having not played in their conference championships. This is going to be a back and forth game. I think the difference maker in this game is going to be those home fans. It is so hard to go win in Texas A&M. I understand Carson Beck is an experienced quarterback and has played in the SEC. Last year, all 4 home teams were able to get wins in round 1. I have 3 of the 4 getting wins this year, with Bama being the only one on the road. I will take Texas A&M close, but 30-24 as the final score. These last 2 games are almost throwaway games for me. I don't understand the 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff. I think they should be represented, but not in this way. Ole Miss is the more intriguing of the 2, I believe, just losing Lane Kiffin. There's a little bit of a storyline there. However, they've already played Tulane this year and won by 5 touchdowns. So I'm not going to do too much in-depth analysis on this here. Again, I will have an in-depth analysis coming out later today. But I'm going to take Ole Miss pretty big here. They retain Charlie Weiss Jr. to call plays for this playoff run. Pete Golding steps in as the head coach, and he will still call the defense. So as much as there's a lot of change in that program, they've had time to adjust, and they keep the play calling the same with both coordinators still there for this playoff run. They are not 5 touchdowns worse without Lane Kiffin. I'll say that time and time again. I think this game will be closer than the first time they played, because Tulane is playing better than they were when they originally played. But I will take Ole Miss handedly 41-20 at home. And moving into the night game tomorrow night, I believe this will be the biggest blowout of any game. I am a huge fan of the Ducks. They have played so well all season. They're getting overlooked because of one loss to Indiana, who is the number 1 team in the country. Not getting enough recognition as from the national media as they should be. James Madison goes up there as the 12 seed, the second group of 5 team, and they've got a great story. I mean, it's one of the more fun teams to watch in college football. They kind of own that underdog mentality, and I love it. I think it's a really fun story, but fun stories, this is not March Madness. You do not have a Cinderella team that is just because they've got good vibes, they will go beat a powerhouse. Oregon is so talented. I'm giving them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I originally had this game as 45-10. I will bump it down to 38-10. Still the biggest blowout of the first round, though. So yeah, those are my picks for the first round. of the college football playoff. I mentioned this was going to be a shorter episode today just because there is more content coming at you later. So you can kind of cherry pick which game you want to hear me talk about and which game you don't care as much about. There'll be more in-depth analysis on those first two games than the second two. And then I will continue to do that as the playoff rolls on. But yeah, I'll just circle back again. The Rams Seahawks, man, what a game that was. It was such a fun game to watch. If you haven't seen it, go watch highlights of it. Go watch the full game, really. That game it was just incredible. It was everything we were hoping it would be and more. Yeah, and again, Puka Nakua, thank you so much for my fantasy team looking good because of you. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please stay tuned for more videos coming at you later today. I hope you watch those and enjoy them. Make sure to comment down below. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts from that game last night. Is there anything that I missed that you would have liked me to talk about? And let me know your predictions for the first round of the college football playoff. I'd love to hear scores or storylines that you would like to see me talk about. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. From wherever you may be listening, whatever time it may be, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this episode of Let's Talk Football. If you enjoyed what you heard today, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, comment down below with what you would like to see me talk about next. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, click on the video right now to see my last episode, and let's talk more football.